I've got lots to talk about. Let me just get the old laptop fired up. Now, just as I was going live, oh, did I link onto... Oh, hang on. Who is that guy? I forgot to link on to the workshop Wi-Fi with the transmitting firm. That's what you're on at the moment. So hopefully the picture's not too bad, but we'll find out very shortly. Not sure if I can switch across mid-live stream. There's always something, isn't there? Always. Right. Just want this live stream to pop up, and then we'll see who's in the workshop with us. There we go. Boom. Okay, once the adverts are out of the way, we'll turn the volume down. Very nice. Been watching Matt's off-road recovery this morning, so I was outside a little bit early because I got an extra hour in bed. So my sincere apologies. They've changed the clocks back again, or forwards, or yeah, back this time. So extra hour. It's pretty cool. Now, who have we got in the workshop? Just bear with me. We have Purple Monkey 1974. Good morning, sir. Welcome back. Good to have you on board. He says, hello, everybody. Hello to you too. Right, Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. The clock is ticking. I'll be down soon. I leave for the South Island, all going to plan on April the 28th. It's a Monday, I think. Right. Oh, adverts are terrible, aren't they? Right. Mr. Rush. Good morning, Sheldon. Welcome back, matey. Good to see you in the workshop. The Giant. Sheldon gives us a big clap. Actually, thank you, Sheldon. The Giant Governor. Good evening, Andy and crew. How's everyone doing? I'm not bad. I'm not too bad. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I'm not too bad. It's been a busy 2 weeks since the last live stream. First week, I was away on the road all week. I had a meeting first thing in the morning, 4-hour meeting, honestly, and then managed to get in the truck and get to, I can't pronounce it, Taronga. I can't pronounce it. Got there for tea time, did some admin work, and then that was the end of the day. And I've been doing admin work since about 7 that morning, which I had lots to get done. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I worked my way across to Gisborne and then down to Wairoa and then to Napier and then back to Taupo and then back home. And the roads are crap and there's lots of roadworks. And I did 19 hours of driving. I can tell you that because the only single good feature on the Isuzu shipbox pickup ute that I have is the fact that it records driving hours for you. Yes, on the trip meters, it records driving hours. So I just take a photo at the start of the week and a photo at the end of the week. I don't do any personal driving during the week. And hey presto, I know exactly how many hours I've driven. And it's actually quite enlightening because in the past, I've just looked at K's and used Google to work out roughly how many hours I should have been driving. But the reality is, here in New Zealand, you spend a lot longer getting places than you used to do. So there you go. 19 hours plus 6 visits, each of about 3 hours long. 1 or 2 were a little bit below 3, but a couple were way over 3 hours. And of course, all the admin work as well. So, you start working that out, how many hours I put in during the week, and it's a fair chunk. Anyway, that's that week out of the way. While I was in Gisborne, before I left Gisborne and headed south, I thought, I need to get some more hacksaw blades for the power hacksaw. Because I promised you I would. So I went into Blackwood Safety, I think they're called. Can't remember now. And, well, this is the old hacksaw blade. You probably won't see too well on the camera. But if you look closely, there is a ton of teeth basically missing all in this area here. And there's a few teeth missing down here as well. And this blade has been in for a very long time. However, I don't think it's the original blade that we got the power hacksaw with. I'm pretty sure we've changed it at some point. Anyway, so I managed to pick up, and they're about $20 each, $22 each. They weren't cheap. A couple of new power hacksaw blades. So there you go. That's the part number and the barcode and all that kind of stuff. And what are they? They're Evercut, so they're a good brand. And it's a bimetal, high-speed steel, 350mm by 25mm. By 1.25, so 1.25 thick, the width of the blade. And does it give me the pitch? Yes, 14 teeth per inch. Are they still using inches? Probably 14 teeth per inch. Old imperial stuff going on there. It's certainly not 14 teeth per centimeter, that's for sure. So we've got 2 of those. I'll stick one in the power hacksaw later on today. I'll give it a test cut. I do need to cut another chunk off that big aluminum bar thing that I've got over there. 125mm diameter. So we'll see if it's any better. If it isn't, I don't know. There's no adjustment available on the saw, so I don't know what's going on. I'll have to have a think. Do some more research. Now, whilst I was perusing the store, I spotted these. Some MIG pliers. And I've never had a set of MIG pliers, and they were on special offer. So I thought, well, you know what? We'll get some of them. And then we've got some dedicated pliers for the MIG. They're about 20, again, about $20 odd, I think they were. So I thought, well, you know, Sigweld, not a bad brand. And it's nice to have new tools. So I treated myself, maybe an early birthday present. It could be. So we can, I've actually brought some, maybe I brought some skizzers. So we'll take it out of the box, packaging, should I say. And then we'll have a little closer look, see what's going on. So, oh, that's not so bad, is it? Right. Oh, spring loaded. Nice. There you go, look. Pretty cool. They're probably going to end up being a little bit rusty though, maybe, but anyway. So what have we got? We've got, what does it say? Excellent. Great long nose pliers. So we've got long nose pliers at the end for holding hot welding jobs and pieces so you don't burn your fingers. Probably still burn my fingers, to be fair. And it's got a little sort of circular bit here, look, which is good for holding the tips. When you change the tips, it's got little grippy bits inside there. You can't really see very well on the camera, can you, today? It's not great. It's always focused on me, unfortunately. And then we've got some snippy stuff there, look. And then this one here, this is actually quite useful. This is for replacing your nozzles. So you can grab hold of your nozzle. Again, it's all serrated inside. And you can grip the nozzle, because they're usually very hot, and give it a twizzle, pull it off, and put a new nozzle on. I usually rotate a couple, because I let the one go cold before I clean it out. Usually a flat screwdriver, get all the splatter out, and then carry on. So, new tool. Very happy with that. Don't know where it's going to live just yet. Probably somewhere with the MIG. Maybe just on top of the MIG, to be fair. Right, comments. Here we go. A few more comments. Dum dum dum. The real Daz. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Welcome back, matey. Mr. Rawl. Morning, Andy and crew. Mr. Rawl. Great segue. I spotted a notification the other day. Yes, in fact, last night it was, quite late last night, regarding Mr. Rawl. And I'm not going to explain because too much, but Simon, you know exactly what you did. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it. Totally unexpected. I don't normally get that kind of stuff, but no, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And to be fair, you know, you pretty much bought me these, right? You know, so thank you for that, and a couple of pints. So, good job, mate. Do appreciate that. Randy Sundquist. That's a new name. Hi, Andy. Oh, hey, Andy. Randy, good morning. Welcome to the workshop. I think it's maybe your first time you've commented. So, good job, matey. Feel free to ask away. That's what these live streams are for. Ted McConaughey. Yep, Ted McConaughey. Hey, Andy, what's for lunch? Well, lunch I have no idea about. However, morning pie is this one, right? Now, it's got, I think it's an M on the front. Now, this is a pie that my good friend Craig dropped off. He came down to, I had to fit some preload spaces to some springs for him. So he pays me in pies, which is quite nice. So this is a pie I'd already had. I think it was just after the live stream. I already had my pie that morning. Didn't want to have too many pies. So this one went in the freezer. So I think it's a steak. I'm not entirely sure. It might be a steak and cheese. We will find out. And it came from Ronnie the Baker's. Mrs. Mechanic told me which shop he got it from. Just bear with me for a second. Yeah, Ronnie's Bakery in Tocoroa. Craig brought it down. Jesus Christ. So I said, is it a steak and cheese? And I got, nee, chicken M. So, yeah, I think Mrs. Mechanic was half asleep when she tried to reply. So we'll ignore that. So, yes, we'll chuck it in the pie warmer shortly, and it's like a surprise pie. What I can say is there is no hope in hell's chance it's going to be anything fishy, because Craig wouldn't buy me a fish pie. And to be fair, he wouldn't like a fish pie either. Randy. Okay, some question, how things doing down under? Okay, so again, good segue. So I went to Gisborne, did all that. Busy week. Had the weekend at home. I actually took Saturday off. I was just knackered. So I had a Saturday in the house, did a few bits and pieces. I think I finished editing a video. Yes, I did. I finished editing the video of the swivel seals on Ben's patrol. Which incidentally, our internet here is so atrociously bad in the house. That video took 12 hours to upload. I think that's a new record for one of my videos. 12 hours. It's only about an hour long. Shouldn't have taken that. I almost got to the point of aborting mission and bringing the laptop in the workshop and using the Wi-Fi in here because it's a lot better. Although it's been getting worse recently, so I don't know what's going on. It's such a pain, it really is. So the second week, so Sunday I was in the workshop just tinkering around, and oh, that's right, I had to machine a Mark II insert for an airbox. That took some doing. That was the big aluminium. Poor little Boxford lathe was struggling a little bit. And I also had to do some work for work. I had my ute to empty, which was full of stuff, and I also had to make, and I mean, to be fair, that insert was for work. But I also had to, I can't show you on camera because it's the wrong brand, but I was asked to inspect a drive belt and a couple of pulleys. I'm not going to say what they fit, to double check that the pitch of the belt matches the pitch of the pulleys. You'd think, no brainer, it should do, right? Well, anyway, had to do that, and to provide the evidence, I had to take off one of the guides to each of the pulleys. Now on the rear pulley, the big one, the guide was held on with some bolts. That was easy, although two of them snapped, or they rounded, so I drilled them out. And on the front one, both guides are welded into place. So I had to make a little jig to hold it on in the chuck because it was too big to fit in the chuck, and then machine off some of the welds. In the end, that was my plan. In the end, I had to machine the entire guide off the side of the pulley, and it was steel. It was quite hard steel, so it took a bit of doing. So that was probably 2 to 3 hours of work there on me Sunday. But anyway, we'll try and claw that back at some point. And then the following week, I was back on the road. This last week, where did I go? Well, I went out to New Plymouth. So I went from here to Taramanui to New Plymouth via the Forgotten Highway. It's the quickest route, and it's quite scenic, and it's away from all the big trucks and stuff, and you can stop whenever you need. Only downside is there's not a lot of signal down there for the phone, but that's okay. Not allowed to answer the phone when I'm driving anymore anyway. Got to New Plymouth about tea time-ish, just after tea time. Went out for some food, had an early night. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, visits again. Ended up at Wanganui, and then Friday afternoon, running about an hour late, drove home. Got home just about 6:30, I think it was, on the nail, bang on 6:30 Friday night. And Ben was here. Ben had come down on Thursday night, so he was busy working on his patrol and stuff. So very cool, busy week, got lots done. Right, let's do the pie. Let's get out of the pie one because I'm hungry. So those that have just joined us, Ronnie's Bakery in Tokoroa. We think it's some kind of beefy, steak and cheesy kind of pie. Here we go. We may have already done this pie, but I don't care because I'm hungry and it was in the freezer. So, a little bit of flaky pastry on top, but it looks structurally incredibly sound, you know? Pretty good. Okay, let's head over to the pie warmer and get it put in. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Okay, now things are going to happen. We're not just going to put this in the pie warmer, we'll get other stuff as well. I'll be very careful where I go with the camera because the workshop door's open today, and there's a reason for it. Okay, pie is in the warmer, 23 minutes, obligatory time, because it's been in the fridge, defrosted last night. And look, we have a new fun bus. Okay, so can I show you my fun bus? I might be able to. Just bear with me. I need to turn the camera around this way. This is going to be tough. I can. Right, just bear with me a second. Right, okay, I think, oh God, flashes of blue going across the screen. Look, that's my truck. That's my truck from England. It's very sad. It's way past its sell-by date. Still runs, not today, but it will run and it will move, just. But it's, poor old fun bus is long gone. So, Ben's short of a vehicle at the moment, so I decided, in my infinite wisdom, to find him another one. So this is a 4.2 diesel, so it's cheap to run. Is it open or has he locked it? It's open. Ooh, look at this. What a machine, as Mr. Clarkson would say. Yes, it needs some tidying up, but the good news is we spent a bit of time, checking out a few different ones, and this one was the best one corrosion-wise, and it runs really well. So Ben flew down. Oh my word! Can I do this one-handed? Oh, I can't get in. I think you've got to pull the lever at the same time. Ben was saying it might work now. Bear with me. I heard a ping. So, trying to keep the camera away from the blue. Oh God, there we go. Oh, look at that. 24 volt, this one. 2 batteries. And it's a black top motor. Non-turbo, so very understressed. But look at the bulkhead on that. Absolutely mint. So this vehicle has been down in Queenstown, Otago for many, many years. And things tend not to rust down there. So I'm very happy that we found a good truck. And Ben is already converted to diesel from petrol. Look at that. Even the gutters are all good. Nice. You think this vehicle's what, 1992? It's like 33 years old, is it? Bloody old. 92, yeah, 33 years old. What a piece of kit. Came with a snorkel on it. It's got new tyres on it. And I'll tell you exactly how much we paid for it when we go back into the workshop. I'll close his door for him just so he's happy. But it's got like wooden stuff. It's got wooden drawers in the back, so perfect for Ben as well. And again, gutters are all pretty original. No problems. They did find a little tiny bit of rust just round here. Pretty standard for patrols. Just on there, look. So he's taken the paint off and it's got a bit of filler in there. So he's going to treat that today and paint it. That's one of his little jobs. And the windows are a little bit, they're just starting to go on these runners. So the fun bus windows are a solid pane of glass from memory. So we're going to swap those out and get those good. But the patrols, they always go around here at the back, on this back corner and this other back corner. Just there, look. And that's all original. That's nice and solid. So that's, main things. And they tend to bubble up around the rear wheel arches around here as well. But what kills them is the gutters. The gutters, when they start to go, people try and patch them up, but they don't last long. And that's what's killed my Patrol. Mine has a full-size sunroof. This one doesn't. And that was the thing. If it had a sunroof, we wouldn't have bought it. Simple as that. So, pretty good. Very happy with that. Right, back into the workshop. Bum, bum, bum. Yes, so I've spent some more money. Money I don't really have. But anyway, it was a needs must because poor old Ben was stressing big time about his patrol, his pickup patrol, and getting it through certification. And, it still needs a bit more work, a bit more money spending on it. And all the time he's using Larry the carrying. It's not really ideal, especially for these long trips down here from Auckland. He's not going to last that long doing that, I don't think. It's going to knock 7 bells of shit out of the engine, is that. So that was a vehicle that I was planning to buy in a couple of years' time, and I thought, let's bring it forward. Let's get one now, and then Ben can use it to get down from Auckland. He can get all his gear in it. He can tow with it if he wants. You know, it's a capable machine, and then he can take a bit longer doing him. And so he flew down to Queenstown a week last Friday morning, and the seller met him at the airport. Very, very nice chap. I forget, Blake, I think his name was. Yes, Blake. Met him at the airport. Ben gave it a good one, you know, a once over, a full check all round. He rang me up and said, yep, pretty damn good. Synchro's not so good on 4th and 2nd. I said, well, don't worry about that. We've got a spare gearbox in the fun bus, or we can rebuild that one, whichever. Or we can, you know, put the fun bus one in and then rebuild that one for a spare when we get a chance. And so we bought it. And then he spent 3 days driving from Queenstown to Christchurch to Picton, and the ferry. And then the last day was Wellington back home. And then to Auckland. So he did about just shy of 1,600 kilometers in 3 days, which was a really good test for the vehicle. No problems whatsoever. No overheating, no nasty noises, no crank, no starts or anything like that. Just clockwork. So he's very, very happy. And so am I, to be fair. So we have another patrol. It's pretty cool. So there's going to be lots of videos in, you know, moving forwards, covering repairs on Ben's patrol and my patrol, which Ben's driving at the moment. Yes. We've got a lot of interior that we want to swap from the fun bus, the English machine, into that. I want to put the lift kit on off the fun bus onto that. It's only a 2-inch Old Man Emu lift, but it's a good quality lift on it. And of course, we've got the bull bar and the 16,000 pound electric winch, which unfortunately at the moment is 12 volt. So I'll have to get a warm 24 volt motor for it. But that's an improvement, right? So yeah, very happy. A little bit more poor, obviously, but that's part of the fun. Right, bear with me. We're going to go back. Richard Perry. Right, Richard Perry. Hi, Andy and crew. Big thumbs up and a GB flag. Richard, I'm doing just fine. Pretty knackered. I did 16 hours driving this last week. So 19 hours 2 weeks ago, 16 hours this week. It's surprising how much time you spend driving, or I spend driving for my job. There is a big chunk of driving time involved in it, and it means that there's a lot less time to get everything else done. It's constant juggling act, unfortunately, constantly chasing your tail, but you get used to it. Jim K, hope you had a nice birthday, Jim K. I had the best birthday ever. Now you may think, Andy, why is that? Well, obviously, I was away from home on Thursday. Thursday was the 3rd of April. That's my birthday day. And I was a bit homesick, and I was sort of missing the dog a little bit because Marmite's been very, very poorly. Since the last live stream, things escalated. She just wouldn't eat anything. She might have the odd little drink of water now and again, but she wouldn't eat anything. So we took her to the vets. And they gave her a quick once over and gave her some tablets and stuff, and they weighed her. And she weighed in at 8.6 kilograms. Okay, that's cool. Brought her home, didn't eat anything. She would not eat anything. She refused to eat. She just, didn't matter whether it was bacon, you know, or it was chicken or steak, or it didn't matter, or ham. It didn't matter what it was, you know, the best food, right? She would not eat it. And we knew straight away something was wrong. Her character and mannerisms completely changed. She was a very different dog at the time. And we got really worried about it. So we took her the following Monday. Was it the Friday? I forget. But we took her back. They weighed her again. She'd lost 1 kilogram in weight in 1 week. You pick her up and all you can feel was her rib cage and her spine. There was hardly any muscle content left, no fat on her at all, and she was just weak and just slept all the time and really bad. So I said to Mrs. the mechanic, we need to pull out all the stops. All right, she needs to stay in. They've got to put her on a feed, get something in her because she's not going to last. and get a scan done. We need a scan to see. Oh, Mozzie. Get away, Mozzie. Don't like Mozzies. Did a scan doing to see what's going on. And it turned out the scan, I mean, they were a bit reluctant because she's got a heart murmur as well. They didn't want to put her under on, knock her out. Not with a baseball bat, obviously, but, some kind of fluidy stuff to put in there. Anesthetic. Or is it anesthetic? I don't know what it is. Anyway, so they didn't put her under. They just sort of held her and did the scan. And it brought out some quite interesting information. I was crap at biology, to be honest. For what they said, that her gallbladder and intestine, sorry, this isn't mechanic stuff, but it's important to me, and her intestines, the wall thickness on that size of dog, that model of dog, should be about 1 millimeter thick. Marmite's was 3 millimeters thick. Not good. I don't know what that means, but they said it was bad. And she also had an infection as well. God knows how she got that. So they gave her some drugs for the infection. They gave us some medicine for a nausea. She was constantly being sick, just puking up mucus, which turned out to be stomach acid. She just couldn't hold anything down at all, and she wasn't eating, so there was nothing to hold down. It was just ridiculous. She was just being sick for being sick's sake. So on my birthday, and this is sort of 3 days in. She went twice to be put on the drip. She stayed in for the whole day on the Monday and about half a day on the Tuesday on this drip. And then on Thursday, I got a video from Mrs. Mechanic, and it was Marmite eating some chicken. Pretty cool, actually. I was very happy. And since then, she's continued to eat like a trooper. So it was almost like somebody turned on a switch. You now need to eat some food, Marmite. And she's really good. So we're all really happy that Marmite's making a great recovery. Hopefully it'll continue. Simon, use some candle wax on the blade when you cut alloy. Stops it clogging up. Good call. I'll try that. I normally use, I've got that Forge spray, which is pretty good. Although it is quite thick and gloopy, and with the aluminium, yes, like you say, it could actually cause the chips to clog up a little bit. And sometimes I just grab some of the service spray and just use that, a bit like WD-40, and just spray that on there, and that seems to help an awful lot when cutting the aluminium. But I don't know why it's deviating off so much. There was it was way out of square when I cut that aluminium last time, and I'm hoping it was just the blade, but we'll find out. Maybe I'll do a video on it, actually, and put it out to the world to try and get some feedback, because the videos are really good for that. If I'm not too sure what I'm doing, I can put a video out, and, all the pros out there that have used power hacksaws for years will go, Andy, it's this. And then I fix it, and it works perfectly. So maybe a little video today doing that will be cool. Plus, you get to see the power hacksaw in action, which would be great. Purple Monkey, 1974. Hope it's not a fish. I hope it's not a fish. Marky found. Andy, from Appledore in North Devon, from my mum's watching Formula One qualifying. I hope Formula One is going to get a lot more interesting with the change in engines and stuff. I mean, I don't watch it that often, but when I did watch it a few years ago, it just, I don't know, it was just wasn't as interesting as rallying, to be honest. Anyway, sorry, I prefer rallying. Now then, the Giant. I enjoyed watching you helping Ben do the repairs. Brought back memories of myself helping my late father. It's actually really good to have Ben down. For a few years, when I moved down here, and Ben was still in Auckland, I definitely sensed It just wasn't possible for us to spend a lot of time together. When I was in Auckland, I was at work, and then I'd come home, or I'd be working away, I'd be on the road. And now that Ben's got his workshop down here and he's coming down a lot more often, it's actually really good to spend some time with a lad. Time that I really miss. So, more than happy to help it. Really am. Darren L. What's up, dude? Darren from the States. Nice. Good morning, Darren. Apologies. Not normally this, I don't know. What's the word? Upset. I suppose I'm still recovering from the Marmite thing. So my apologies. Now then. Bum, bum, bum. Gotta scroll back. Simon. Speaking of diesel, a few lives back, I said a diesel injector seized in the head was kicking my ass. Yes. Well, got the head on my bench this week. I'll send you some photos, lol. Ooh, please do. It sounds like it could be quite interesting. Connor K. Morning, Andy and crew. What a machine! We've been watching Top Gear recently. Ben always puts Top Gear on. And of course, the Grand Tour. And it's only those three that we watch. We don't watch any other Top Gears, believe me. So, Connor K, 24 volt. Forgive my ignorance, but is that common for diesel-powered four-wheel drive vehicles? I know it's common for European lorries. It's quite common amongst the patrols. Now, the Land Rover lads are going to absolutely slate into me on this one. Some Land Rovers were 24 volts, but I believe the only ones that were 24 volts were the ones used for the radios. They had a second battery and they ran the whole thing on 24 volts. Not sure about 101s, whether they're 12 or 24, but again, some 101s were used as radio vehicles, so they would have been 24 volt. Patrols, our other one is 12. A lot of the ones we used in the UK, the diesels were 24. They had twin batteries, so that would be the SD33, the 3.3 straight six diesel. Some were turbo. All of ours are normally aspirated because more reliable, less to go wrong. But there were a few 24s out there with the turbo. With the turbo as well. So that all of those diesels were 24. The petrols were 12. But then when we got to what I call the GR patrol, which is Ben calls it the GQ or the Y60, some diesels are 12 volt, some are 24. I suppose it depends which country they were sent into originally or designed for. 24, it's a bit of a pain because all the wiring is different to the one we already have. But it's okay. It was a small price to pay to get one that has a solid shell and a solid chassis. And that was the criteria. It has to be reliable. The engine doesn't want to be played with too much. I actually deliberately tried to stay away from the ones that had an aftermarket turbo fitted because there's a lot of work that you do inside the engine when you fit a turbo that a lot of people don't do. They just put a turbo on and go, ooh, it's got a turbo, and off they go. And yeah, sure, it produces a bit more power, but it doesn't last as long because you compromise on the durability because they've not done the internal work. Especially the nozzles that spray the oil up to the underside of the pistons. The factory turbo ones have a different nozzle in them, and nobody ever seems to change those. So they just roll the dice. So this is a standard machine from factory, same as a Funbus engine, completely stock standard. Done about 400 and something kilometers. Funbus has done about 750 kilometers, I reckon. The speedo stopped working ages ago. But they are a super reliable engine as long as you change the oil on a regular basis and don't cane the ass off them all the time, They were never built to be a speed machine, and they don't compete with modern day four-wheel drives as regards performance and power output. But they are super torquey and they'll plod along forever. And that's the thing with one of those. They're a joy to drive. They handle really well. They perform bloody well off-road. And now here in New Zealand, they've had a second life. And what I mean by that is the ones that are left, and there's still a lot here, Nissan, back in the day, used to send them to New Zealand in kit form, and there's a plant run by CDG now, but they've taken over the Nissan building. But there was a Nissan assembly plant, uh, West Auckland, where they'd ship the vehicles across cars, patrols, well they call them safaris here, and they'd assemble them and put them on the road, and they sold thousands of those patrols, stroke safaris here in New Zealand. But a lot of them struggle with corrosion, and a lot of the ones we've gone to go and look at to purchase before we bought this one have had some pretty significant corrosion, and there are no-go zones. You just don't want to go there. But there are patrols now that are, yes, they've got a lift kit on and they've been tricked out a bit, and they've probably got a turbo on them. But they're fetching $35,000 now. I paid for that one $8,000. To me, it was a bargain for what it is. It gives us exactly what we want: a nice, basic, standard vehicle to work with, and one that hasn't been abused. And it's lived down in Otago for many, many years. Owned by, I think he was a captain, actually, was the guy. So wasn't driven much during the week. The only concern was it was parked, by the sea. But clearly, maybe he was a fisherman on an inland lake. I don't know, because it's in good nick. Anyway, better crack on with the old comments, otherwise you're going to overtake me. So hopefully that helps Connor explaining 24-volt stuff, and it starts incredibly well. It wants to go instantly. As soon as you turn the key, boom, off it goes. It's great. And of course, the non-turbo ones are a lot better on fuel than the turbocharged ones, and again, that helps Ben immensely. Ben has already told me that he's going to have the engine and gearbox out of the fun bus. Sorry, the engine out of the fun bus, and put it in his pickup patrol. He has been well and truly converted to diesel, and that has happened on one journey from Queenstown to Auckland. A fraction of the cost on fuel, and road user charges are about $75 per 1,000 kilometers. And even when you factor those in, still substantially cheaper, a hell of a lot cheaper than him running his petrol patrol. The Giants, I'm very excited for the coming new repairs videos. Thank you. Well, it's been a long time coming. I've been doing lots of other people's projects. And of course, with Ben using the vehicles, he's going to push me to get these repairs done. I just hope we can capture all of it on camera. That's the thing. We've got to spend the time doing the filming, because sometimes, and I'm sure you're the same. Most of you have made little videos and stuff to put on YouTube. Simon has, and the problem is time. You get a problem. Sometimes the problem you don't plan for, it just happens, and you've got to get it fixed within a set time frame. You're pushing the boundaries. And when we film stuff, it takes at least twice as long to do the job. At least, usually about 3 times, to be fair. So that's the background as to why not everything gets filmed, unfortunately. And I do a lot. I'm always busy doing stuff. It's just not on videos. Unfortunately, I wish it was. I wish we had a film crew, because then they could do all the filming. A bit like Matt's Off-Road, other people do all the filming, and they just get on with the fixing. Like many of the big YouTube channels, and we can't afford that. It's just not in our budget. Now then, the Giants, happy birthday for the 3rd of April. Thank you, the Giant. Appreciate that, matey. Simon, Marmite is important to all of us, Andy. Very much so. Marmite's been a fantastic little doggy for 15 years. She's been part of our family. By far the longest standing dog we've ever had. And she is just so loyal. She's just great. If you're not a dog owner, it's difficult to understand what I'm trying to say. But, all the little things, they add up. And the thought of the vets were basically saying, prepare yourself, she's not going to pull through. And that's why I was so sad last week. And so was Mrs. Mechanic and Ben and the whole family. We were all pretty heartbroken about it. But to see her eating that chicken, good job, dog. Good job. What's he say? That'll do, pig. That'll do. And since then, she's just been eating we've tried to modulate how much she can eat because her stomach's tiny at the moment. But I was feeding her some stuff yesterday. She was practically biting my fingers off. She was that hungry. So, it was really good to see. And she's holding it down. She's not been sick again, which is really important. So thanks, Simon. Appreciate that. Darren L, love your Yamaha Viking. Two videos. I don't care anymore. Do you plan on doing more of these? Yes, of course I do. I plan on doing many, many, many more of those videos. And there are many, many of those videos already filmed. The problem is, and let me explain again, I work for that manufacturer, and there is a direct conflict of interest in me showing the world how to repair their own vehicle instead of taking it to their local authorized Yamaha dealership. And I can talk about this because it's the whole reason why we don't have that brand on the channel currently. And I made the agreement when I took on this role with my current employer that I would not release any more repair videos. And in fact, it escalated. I would not have any of their product, whether it's a can of chain lube or a chain link or a brake pad or anything in any of my videos. It's very sad, to be honest, and I think it definitely has stumped the channel tremendously. I think the channel would have grown way more if I hadn't made that agreement, but I wanted the job. So my sincere apologies. I've learnt a lot with this job, and when I retire or my contract ceases, whenever that happens, I don't know, then those videos, and there's about 130 of them already made, will be released on the channel. And I probably will retire, and I will then go full steam ahead at dumping my knowledge base onto this channel. How's that? There's a promise for you. Windows updates, don't need those. So you just have to hang in there. We're all getting a bit older, I know, but I've got a lot of stuff planned, and I've done a lot of stuff already. And, I think it's going to be really interesting times moving forwards. But that could happen in a year. It could happen in 5 years. It might happen in 10 years' time. I don't know. Hopefully we're all still around. I have given Mrs. Mechanic the passwords to my YouTube channel. So if I'm not here, she can still release those videos for you. I know, sounds really morbid, but you've got to plan ahead, right? Don't let you guys down. So where do we get to? Simon, dogs are like kids. Such a big part of my family, of the family. They are. They really are. And I was a bit worried for Mrs. Mechanic because, I'm away a lot. I'm away a hell of a lot. Whether I'm up in Auckland just at head office or whether I'm out on the road around the country, she's on her own a lot. And Marmite has been a fantastic companion to her. And to not have Marmite around is going to change that dynamic tremendously. Even once she's got over the fact that Marmite's passed away, which obviously she hasn't done, fortunately, it's still going to change the dynamic. She's going to, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard on her. And I didn't want that. Might sound selfish, but, there's a reason why Marmite's around and why we have a dog, to be fair. Darren L, love your Yamaha. I've done that one, sorry. Richard Perry, Andy, so happy Marmite is doing better, mate. Yes, thank you very much. Sophie95, hello from Poland. Poland, potatoes, staple diet, right? Been through Poland, actually. Nice spot. Cold. It was really cold when I went through there. Jim Haynes was wondering what was happening, but we're all here now for next week. Next week, after the National Bridge Speedway for our season opening race. Wow, very cool, Jim. Very cool indeed. Well, good luck with that. Send me some pictures. Jim goes on to say, usually 24-volt vehicles like an old military Jeep or tow motor for airplanes used for aircraft support. Also, as this is what planes used to start with back. Hang on, I've got to scroll down. Sorry, chaps. Back in the day, don't know about jets at all. I'm not into planes at all. Have flown a plane once, didn't crash, which was good. But 24 volt, Yeah, I mean, very common on trucks. A lot of the UK trucks, when I was a teenager, were all 24 volts. So it's got to be a. I mean, the Unimog was only 12 volts, which was cool because it made it easy to wire things up. But yeah, there's a reason for it. More amps, more energy to start the engine, more energy to run the glow plugs, I suppose. Because voltage is pressure, right? So it pushes through. Yeah, and you can cut down on your wiring size as well. You don't need such large gauge wiring to carry this, to get the same amount of energy to where it needs to be delivered. So that could be another reason for it. Roger Heaps, I gave away a TD42. What? I gave away a TD42 that I'd let go top of piston on number 6. Still run fine though, though a little rough. You can laugh, right? I had one. It was the SD33 on the fleet, short wheelbase, diesel obviously, and some customer decided to go through a water pool at Mach 5 and they hydraulicked it and it bent a conrod and it didn't fire on that cylinder anymore, but it fired on the other 5 just fine, and we ran that vehicle for years just on running on the 5 cylinders. It was a bit lumpy, and of course there's a bit of diesel coming out of the exhaust that wasn't burnt, but hey, it still worked. It had more than enough torque to do what we needed it to do for the customers, and we actually just gave it to people that were maybe a little bit lively, and it just slowed them down a little bit, so it was actually quite a good move. Yeah, we should have just taken the high pressure pipe and just put a hose back to the tank, shouldn't we? But that was a bit too technical for me back then. Roger Heaps, so more certifying, yay! And well, Ben's quite logical, right? So he wants to put a diesel in his Patrol. The certification on his pickup Patrol hasn't yet been signed off. So if he's going to do that change, and it'll need to be certified, he's best to do it now, and then it's all included in this current cert. If he does it later on, don't forget the rules in New Zealand are that everything that's already certified needs to be recertified again. So he's going to have to pay for all of that again and the engine to be certified if he doesn't do it now. So we've got an engine swap coming up. But first, we have to get the roof pot on the side port, and then we've got a decent area to work in. I know it's not going to be a concrete floor, but we're going to have to just make the best of it. But it gives us a space, because Patrol's big, right? They take up a lot of space. So we can get the fun bus in there, get the engine and gearbox pulled out, and then tow it down the garden for a while, or stick it back under the house port. We'll work something out, and then we can get Ben's Patrol in there and pull the petrol engine out and put the diesel in. It'll be so good, won't it? So good. Looking forward to that. Done lots of diesel swaps over the years. Actually fitted a Nissan CD17 4-cylinder, normally aspirated diesel out of a Nissan Sunny into a Suzuki SJ413, and it was brilliant. Used the original Suzuki gearbox, had to make up an adapter plate and a flywheel, and I ran that vehicle for years. It was actually a really good swap. Why did it die in the end? I think it had a fuel blockage, was the verdict. Somebody wanted to buy it. It had done a lot of work. It was really tired. And I was running bigger vehicles. I was running the Unimog and I was running Patrols at that point. So we thought, well, it's not reliable at the moment. Let somebody else have the project. So I let it go, probably for peanuts. But I had a lot of fun in that vehicle. I travelled all over the UK in it doing green lanes and stuff. And it never let me down. It was really good. Now, Simon, how does the road user charge work? Is there a tracker in the vehicle, or is it an honesty box type thing? I believe they check it at warrant of fitness, but there are quite a few ways around it. I can't elaborate. Although in the Patrols, the Safaris, back of the dash, red wire and a switch. Okay, that's all I need to say. I'm sure somebody will find that very useful. Not that I would ever do anything like that, obviously, and for NZTA clearly didn't. During my time of having the vehicle on the road, didn't at all. Paid all my road user charges, but really hardly ever used the vehicle, ever. It did like 1,000 k's a year if you were lucky. Anyway, here we go. Simon, but the lower the voltage, the higher the amps needed. Correct. So the higher the voltage, the lower the current. So you can lose thinner wires, right? Jim Haynes. We use 24 volt to start engines on the dyno. They must be manually recharged, as most motors we dyno have magnetos and no charging system. But they start way better and starters last longer. Interesting. The Giants, I enjoy working on diesels, non-turbo, just so much easier than petrol engines. They are. I actually used to do a lot of diesel repairs and stuff, but because a lot of our vehicles were diesel. I just like the sound of them. I really like the sound of the TD42 engines. TD, it's not TD. T doesn't stand for turbo. TD is just that engine, TD42, and they're very cool engines. And if you look after them, they are bulletproof. It's only when the lads start putting the big turbos on and cranking up the boost pressure. Ooh, it's got 20 psi in boost. Yes, it won't last very long. Yes, it goes extremely well, but it'll blow up. If you keep them standard, just run forever. Yes, they're a bit sluggish on the road. They're a bit like driving a brick, but they get up to speed and they do all right. And they've got tons of torque at slow speed. I mean, the Fun Bus, I got asked to move a 40-foot container. Yes, it was empty, but it weighed a fair bit, and I was able to put the bull bar up to the container and give it a shove. It was heavy. You knew it was there, and it did bend the bull bar, but man, that truck moved that container. Poor truck. Honestly, I was very abusive to it, and it took it, and it was super reliable. That one that came from the UK is on the original wheel bearings from new. Bearing in mind, it's done over 700,000 kilometers now. Original wheel bearings, original prop shafts and UJs, original clutch. There's not many vehicles on the road that can say that, right? Super strong. Gearbox has never been apart. Transfer box has never been apart. Engine's never been apart. It's all original. Where do we get to? Jim Haynes. Too many laws and taxes in the US, but New Zealand has taken too much to another level in many ways. New Zealand is really bad at the moment. I was actually talking to Mum. Hi, Mum, if you're watching. I was talking to Mum yesterday. We had a really good chat. I've not spoken to her for a while. The pie's ready. So I'll finish this one and we'll go and get the pie. Now, the main reason why she called me, I'm going to jump subject and then come back. The main reason why she called me, you might, on previous live streams, I've spoken about my grandfather, Grandad Timmy, I used to call him, because he had a dog called Timmy. So as a kid, I called him Grandad Timmy. Well, unfortunately, his wife, Nana, passed away about 15 years ago. And he's been hanging in there. He's been doing all right. He's had a few problems, but he's been hanging in there. And he got to 102 years old earlier in the year. And unfortunately, he's not going to get to 103. He passed away last Saturday. Now, Mum didn't want to ring me any sooner because I was on the road, and obviously I was dealing with Marmite at the time as well, and it was just going to be too hard. But yeah, pretty sad times at the moment, right? But obviously Marmite's a good thing now. She's recovering. But yeah, I lost my last grandparent a week ago. So 102 though. I'm not sad about it. He had a good run. He had a really good run. Over 100 years that gentleman was around. And I think, and I was telling Mum, I think he saw the best 100 years of this world. If you think about it, a lot's happened during that time. But he grew up in a day when things were pretty basic, and life wasn't overcomplicated like it is now. In my childhood, we didn't have internet. I sound old. We didn't have mobile phones. That only came along when I was a teenager. So I enjoyed that time. It was just, if you wanted to do something, you'd go in the shed or you'd go for a bike ride. You'd do the outside stuff, the recreational stuff, and you'd go and see your mates. Nowadays, well, we all know as parents that really doesn't happen. Kids stay in the bedroom and they pull out the laptop and they just go on the internet or onto computer games or whatever it is, and it's changed so much. You know, it seems that kids can't even they don't have the social skills that we had. They don't have the life skills that we had, unfortunately. But anyway, so yes, government and you know, all these laws that keep coming out. I follow a couple of Facebook pages in the UK that the police run to do with you know, stopping trucks and how loads are strapped down or if they're running overweight and all that. Oh, coffee, all that kind of stuff. Thanks, honey. You get it? I'll do your swap. You can have that one. That one's cold. Marmite can have that. Did she come to see me? Let me get the puppy. Hang on. Puppy! Oh, there's another thing. Come here. I want to see you. Oh, jumpy. There we go.
She's just had a meds and spat some of it back
Oh,
out.
has she? Well, she doesn't like medicine. There, look. The Marmite. Marmite scaled down. She's a bit smaller than she used to be. Aren't you, puppy? Hey? I feel all her neck's about half the size now, isn't it?
I think she feels a bit better.
She looks a lot better, but you can still feel all the shoulder blades and her spine. Not quite as bad though.
No, not quite as bad.
No, you're on the fix, aren't you? Eh? Thanks. Thank you for that. Thanks. Yeah. So there you go. Marmite on camera. We weren't too sure that was ever going to happen again. There you go. All right, you go to your mummy. Way steady now, steady. Yeah, so, you know, it's quite interesting to see. And there was a guy, very quick case, before I go back to the comments and get the pie and stuff. There's lots going on today. There was a guy with a car trailer, so like a flatbed trailer. And on that flatbed trailer, he had a boat trailer. And on the boat trailer, he had a boat. And obviously the boat trailer wasn't roadworthy, and that's why he'd gone to go and pick it up and tow it home behind on the car trailer. And it wasn't overweight, and it was really well strapped down. And the cops pinged him because the tie-down points on the trailer, the car trailer, the flatbed, weren't certified. They weren't rated. So he had ratchet straps on, and nothing was moving anywhere. They did complain that he hadn't made the wheels of the boat trailer strap down. He just strapped the frame down, but there was lots of crosses going on and triangles and shit, and there was lots of straps. And they still pinged him because the tie-down points on his trailer weren't certified. I mean, come on. Really? I mean, some of the stuff that I used to tow around in the UK, I mean, the Ifor Williams trailers we've got here that are made in the UK, the eyelets are not certified. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you know, you got to pay a guy with a tow truck to move things around these days? It's just beyond the joke. It really is. Right. Pie time. Let's go and get the pie. Turn it around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. Here we go. I'm getting really hungry now. Bum, 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 bum. Nice. Very nice. Ooh. So what do you reckon it is? Do you reckon it's a steak pie or a steak and cheese? I don't know. Right, we're back. Okay, set the camera up. Okay, so we've had some pretty significant lid lift going on. Look at that. Hello. So we've lost probably a third of the gluing of the lid around the top. Structural integrity on the base is still excellent. We've got no cracks or splits going on there. Okay, we're going in. You ready? Mince. It's an M. I thought it was an M for meat. M for mince. It's a mince pie. So there won't be any cheese in here. Now, have we done a mince from Ronnie's? Let's go take a look. So if we look on the board of many, many pies, I know we've done some Ronnie's pies before. Can we see any Ronnie's pies down there? Ronnie's. Let me know if I pass any. Merlin's, Dad's, Cheeky. Not on that one. Any Ronnie's? Ronnie's. Cafe and Bakery steak and cheese. Okay. Any more? Oh, Ronnie's Bakery mince and cheese, 87. There you look down there. So I don't think we've done a Ronnie's mince only. No. So we can score this one. Nice. A new pie for the wall. We've got so many to put up there. I'm going to need a bigger cabinet, I think. Right, there we go. Turn the camera around again. I always get the camera so far out. Okay, so we're going to need the score sheet, which fortunately I have. We've still got stuff to talk about. It's going to be a long one, this one. Oi! Okay, so another bite. Here we go. Mmm. That's pretty good. And it's not over hot. It's like just hot enough to not burn your mouth, or just cool enough not to burn your mouth. It's full of flavour. For a mince pie, it's good. Okay, taste stroke flavour. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. If it had had cheese in, it would still be too hot, and I would have burnt my mouth by now. So I'm going to give it an 8 for taste, which is pretty damn good for a mince pie, to be honest. So if you're ever passing through Tokoroa on State Highway 1, swing by Ronnie's Bakery and Cafe and get yourself a pie, because they're actually pretty good, but they only sell them there. I think they've also got a shop in Putaruru, or Putaru as other people call it, but it's got 2 urus at the end of the name, so Putaruru, I call it. So there's one there and one at Tokoroa. But that's it. Okay, Structure Foley Partners. It's definitely a one-handed pie. We've got a little bit of a crack on the base, just starting just there, but it's nothing major. It's just a mere scratch. So it's pretty good. Bit of pastry on the bench, so we'll give them a 9 for that. I'm going to score this pretty quick. Runnability check. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. 45 degrees, 30 seconds. Can we see any movement? It's a very important test, this, to be honest, because you're on the phone and you're forgetting your pie, and it's going to end up on the floor if you're not careful. And there's nothing worse than pie contents on the floor, right? Especially if you're enjoying the pie. That's rock steady. It's not going to go anywhere. So it gets 10 for that. Wow. Okay, meat quality. I'll score that a bit further down the line. I want to see if we get any gristly bits. Now, contents to pastry ratio. Now, looking at that, perfect time to do that, actually. The pastry is actually quite thin. We've got a bit of a chunk here on this corner, but the base is relatively thin, as is this side, and the lid's very thin. And there's a lot of contents. I mean, that's a big chunk of mince in there. Look at that. And it's full. There's no voids. It's full of mince. So, I'm going to give them 8 out of 10 for that. I think that's really good. Now, availability logistics. You can't buy them online. You can only buy them in 2 places in New Zealand. Putaruru and Tokoroa. Pronounce them completely wrongly. My apologies to anybody, New Zealand citizens and things that get upset by that kind of thing. But I'm a Yorkshireman. So, it's going to score pretty low on that. You've got to travel a long way to get one of these pies, especially if you live like in Invercargill. You know, that's like a week's mission to go and get a pie. So, unless you jump on a plane, obviously. So, they're going to get 2. Very poor availability, unfortunately. Pastry taste rating. Well, I mean, I can steal this bit here, look. Let's just steal that. Okay, there's no meat on that. Ooh, there's a burp. Remember that. Okay, ready? Just basic pastry. No bells and whistles on that. It's actually quite nice. It's not over crunchy, it's not over dry, and it's not over gooey either. So pretty good score on that. Let's give them an 8. I think that was okay. Still tasty when cold. Well, there's no real foreign stuff in there. It's just mince. You know, there's nothing like a tomatoes or carrots or peas or onions or mushrooms that would make it taste a bit weird cold. So, I don't think it'd be as good as a steak pie cold, but still not bad. So, I will give them a 6. Some might have expected a higher score on that, but you know, every score's up for discussion. Packaging design, well, it is just a paper bag. That's all it is, and they've just written an M on there. So really zero expense, right? So no design time whatsoever. They've just gone, we need a paper bag. That's it. So I can only really give them a 1 for that. It's pretty poor. But it's what you'd expect from a local dairy, to be fair, a local corner shop. I mean, look at that. The contents are just oozing out. There's so much of it. So good. Now, recyclable. Yes, it is. Have they told us? No, they haven't. So, out of 10, they get 9. They lose 1 point for not having the recyclable image on the bag. Because some bags look just like this, but they have a little plastic liner inside on which you can't recycle. So you've got to tell the customer, right? So it is 9. Unfortunately, nearly all of them will end up in the landfill. They'll just go in normal rubbish. Post-pie heartburn. I've had 1 burp so far. Let's just keep that in abeyance for now. Pie server attractiveness. Yeah, it's Tokoroa. It's not the greatest place. I'm going to have to stick. I wonder if Mrs. Mechanic's giving me any heads up. I don't think she has. We'll have a look. She might have given me the score for this. Nope, she's just talking gobbledygook. God knows what's going on there. Okay, maybe too much vodka last night, maybe. So we're going to go for. We'll go for a 6. I think 6 is probably about right, bearing on who I've seen working there and so on in the past. It's not a bad pie. For a mince pie, it's not bad. I prefer pies to be a bit more chewy. That's why I like the steak ones as opposed to the mince, but it just goes down so easy. Okay, so meat quality. We've had nearly all the meat now, and it's been all right. It's not great. It's not. This isn't premium mince, by the way. Not on the price these were. And it does taste like there's a lot of filler, you know, a lot of gravy stuff around the mince to bulk it up. I don't know if you can see that in there or not, but you know, that's the taste that you get. It's not all meat, okay? So I'm going to give them. I've definitely had better, so I'm going to give them a 6. I think 6 is fair on that. They could improve their meat quality no end. Okay, we're 2 left. Post pie heartburn, we're already down to 9, 1 big burp, and stuffability score. Well, the only way I can score the stuffability score is to finish the pie. It didn't taste greasy at all, and that's a worry when you're buying sort of almost like a homemade pie, just a cafe-based pie. Sometimes they can be really greasy. And this one isn't greasy at all. I mean, it didn't stain. Look at the bag. There's no grease stains on the bag whatsoever. That's a good sign. and it's quite thermally retentive. It's held its heat pretty consistently all the way through this this survey. Okay. Am I stuffed? I am, actually. I can't give you a pie weight because there's no information on the bag. But I would say it's probably about average. It's probably about 200 grams, maybe 190 gram pie, that one. Am I stuffed? Yes. Am I still hungry? I'm not. So I'm going to give it a full 10. That has done its trick. It has ticked the box 100% on nourishing me for breakfast. And pies are often my breakfast go-to, you know. Post pie heartburn. There haven't been any more yet, so it gets a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All the scores are in. So let's tally them up. I think it might have done quite well. Okay, here we go. YouTube's probably going to get really upset because I'm going to tilt the camera down. Oh, no, we've lost another one. God damn it. So that's now 8. Okay, 17, 27, 33, 41, 43, 51, 57, 58, 67, 75, 85, 91. That's not a bad score for a cheap local pie, to be fair, and one that's only available at like 2 places in the entire New Zealand. And it was a Ronnie's Bakery. Mince. Okay, so at this point in time, again, I haven't got any magnetic things just yet, so I'll take a photo of that. We'll put it on file, and then when I get these magnets, I'm going to have to order a load, Anna. These magnetic strips for the cupboard. I'll then fill them all out, and then we'll probably on one of the live streams, we'll stick them all up and see where they go. So, Ronnie's Bakery, mince pie, not your Christmas type, got 91. Not a bad score for a pie like that, to be fair. And it wasn't that expensive. I think it was probably about $4.50. Turn you around. Look at that. Terrible camera, Andy. As always, don't let the side down, do we? There we go. Far too close. Okay, we'll stick that over there. That is the pie review done. Oh, I need to mention this before I forget. Now, you know, I've been working on these special tools to hold primary sheaves on a particular brand of CVT drive. The one for the 700cc ROV was done years ago, and I did one for the 850cc ROV recently. And this one is for the 450cc ATV. You've seen this before. However, it's now finalized. What are the changes, Andy? Well, I'll tell you. I've given the handle, I've shortened it right down. You're not going to be holding this with your hand, so don't worry. And it's also got a 45-degree kick in it, almost like a swan neck, we call that if it was a trailer. And the reason for that, oh, it's got pie in it. The reason for that is it gives you a bit more clearance when you're fitting the tool onto the sheave on the bike. The reason why it's so short is if the bike's on a hoist, you don't want the handle protruding and making contact with the hoist. It's designed to sit against the forwardmost footwell outrigger for anyone that's going to fit one. The great news is, because this is now finalized and I'm happy with it, I've then reached out to all the motorcycle shops that I deal with, who the vast majority, by the way, have already purchased the other two, the 700 and the 850 primary sheaf holders. Had a really good take up on those. Still got a few left up there of the 850s. Totally run out of the 700 ones. I've got to order some more of those to fulfill back orders. And about half of them have already come back and said, yes, Andy, we've found the other ones that you've made super useful. The feedback from the techs is really positive, and we're happy to purchase one of these. We think it'll be a bonus to our workshop, and it'll speed up doing the work, and it'll guarantee that the nut is torqued correctly. Incidentally, on the 850cc model, that centre nut is torqued now to 305 Newton meters. That's a lot. So you need something really substantial to be able to hold that sheave stationary whilst you apply that torque. And that's what these tools do. Obviously on the 450 it's nowhere near as high as that because it's a smaller sheave, but this tool actually is really good. I'd love to show you a photo of it fitted to the bike. Obviously I can't, but rest assured it works brilliantly. And this one does two things. It not only keys in to some of the outer ribs on the sheave, but because we use a pair of mole grips, and you've seen it in action before, to clamp, to hold the two halves of the tool together, it actually, the inner part actually grip the sheave as well. So there's no possible chance of it jumping over on these little lugs. So I'm really happy with it. Really, really happy. So now I've got to place the order for the laser cutting for the quantity that have been ordered, maybe plus a couple, and get those shipped out. So really grateful. If you're one of the techs from one of those dealerships, thank you very much for your support, and I'm pleased that you find these tools really helpful. Do I plan to do any more? I might make one for the 350cc ATV. I'm not sure. That model was discontinued a couple of years ago, but there's still a lot of them out there. Can I do one for the 1000cc ROV? I can't. It doesn't have any lugs on the outside of the sheave to grip onto. It's dead smooth. I'm not too sure how we're going to work that one out. Luckily, there's not that many around. Okay, back to the comments, because you guys have been full bore. Oh my word. Jim Haynes, for James. For James, I agree with you. We are the same age, and life was so much better when we were younger and so much more fun and simple. It really was. We've made life too complicated these days. Jim Haynes, animals are a blessing. And as people say, when it is said about rescuing animals, who saved who is real. We have had many older pets people didn't want, and we hope to give them the life they deserve. Can't believe how loyal dogs are. They're just incredible. They really are. But you've got to treat them right as well to get that loyalty. You know, it's all about the owner, really. You get back what you put in, but you get back tenfold what you put in. The dogs, they're just amazing. Aaronette. That's a new one. Hey Andy, hope you're well, mate. I am. I'm pretty good. I feel like I've got a fraction of cold coming on. I'm just a little bit nasally today. I don't know why. Ben's girlfriend was down the other day and she's not very well. So maybe I've caught something. Maybe I have. I hope not, because I'm going to be. But say that I'm at home all next week. I'm working from home next week, other than taking Marmite back to the vets for another checkup. And Marmite can tell them herself, because they said she was going to pass away, and she can tell them, F you, basically. I'm not ready to die yet. I'm going to hang around for a bit longer. I think they'll be quite surprised to find that she's still alive, to be honest. They were really quite sure she was going to pass away. Simon, making me remember strapping 1,000-litre IBC tank, yes, done that, to the roof of a Fiat Cinquecento and a 50-gallon drum to the back of a GPZ 500. Both times I drove past the cop car. Oh, that's classic, that is. Yeah, I mean, the rules back in the UK back then were a lot more relaxed, especially if you were in a rural area, you could get away with all sorts of stuff. I mean, one day I towed a trailer. It was a trailer that I made. It was basically probably the biggest, it would have been the biggest trailer I've ever made. And it was sort of a plant trailer, was the theory behind it. Because we had to be able to carry it. Well, I built it for taking scrap to the scrapyard, which was about 40 miles, 50 miles away from where we used to live. So it was a long trek. And it's before we had our own loading shovel in the forest for repairing the tracks and loading the stone and stuff. So we had a lot of repairs coming up. So one of the lads, his dad had a spare tractor with a loading bucket on it. Massey Ferguson, I think it was, or David Brown. So he says, oh, if you can come and pick it up, you can borrow it for a few weeks and then bring it back. So anyway, I was taking it back. So I'd done the pickup, we'd used it, I was taking it back. And the only way we could get it on the trailer was to reverse it on the trailer up the ramps. And when we did reverse it up the trailer on the ramps, the ramps just stayed on the ground. And the back of the ute came right up off the ground. I had to have somebody sat in the ute holding the brake on because the front wheels are still on the ground to try and keep the whole thing reasonably stable. And then the tractor would keep going up and then it would come crashing down and it would be on the trailer. Anyway, that was the loading bit. Strapped it all down. And the bucket was at the back of the trailer. It was actually hanging over the back of the trailer because it was so long. And I was going down, Simon will know this road, I was going down the A64 between Moulton and York. So it's a big dual carriageway road in most parts. It may be all the way now, I don't know. There's some pretty big hills and stuff. And we turned off. That's right, I was in the Nissan D21 double cab. Maximum towing weight of 2.5 tons. Right, you know where this is going. So clearly we were way overweight. So I pulled off this side road because we were going to Stamford Bridge. That was the destination. And pulled this side road because a cop was behind us, a couple of cars behind. I thought, oh, we'll just pull off, you know. We'll go the back way. Won't take much longer, and it's a bit more peaceful, and it's probably better for the ute anyway. Sure enough, he turned off behind us. I'm like, oh no. So we get through, and we come to this village, and there's a road on the left. And he turns off down this road. I'm like, oh, what's the chances of that? We got away with this. Ooh, oh, we're lucky. He floors a T5. He floors it down there. There's a crossroads. Turns right. So now he's driving parallel to us on the other side of the field, and he floors it down there. You know, he must be well over 100 mile an hour. We were going probably 30, 40 mile an hour. We weren't going very fast. So he floors it down there, pops back out in front of us on the road, and parks across the road. Oh, he really wants me to stop. And he hadn't put his lights on previously. He just parked across the road, put his lights on, and then got out and then went like that. And I'm like, yeah, we have to stop. So I stopped and I got out and I recognized him. Oh, it's probably a bad thing, right? Sergeant, so I can't remember his name now. Sergeant somebody or other. And I said, oh, hey, how's it going? And he said, oh, Mr. Young, Andrew. I've been following you for a while. Oh. You've been doing quite well considering how big and heavy that tractor is. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I had to stop you. Oh, okay. Why is that? Well, the reason why I stopped you is that the bucket on the tractor's dropped down so far on the hydraulics, it's now blocking your number plate. And that's illegal. Oh, okay. Well, we can start the tractor up and lift the bucket back up if you want, and that'll. We're almost we're going, you know, near where we're going now. We've only got another few miles, and we're there. So it should stay up long enough for us to get there then. And he went, okay. So we got on with that. We did that bit, and he goes, and he was looking at the pickup truck, and he's looking at this massive trailer, and looking at this full-size tractor that's on it, and he's looking at me, and he's going, looks at his watch, and he's like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to the weighbridge in time before they close, because I suspect this vehicle's maybe a little bit overweight. And I looked at him in the eyes and I said, really? Are you sure? I said, you know, Nissan Patrols, they can tow 3.5 ton, no problem. And I mean, you know, the trailer's under a ton. It's way over a ton. And the tractor's what, a couple of ton? You know, maybe with a bucket, 2.5 ton. I said, so probably about right. Maybe if we're over, we're only over by a few hundred kgs. He said, well, you have strapped it on really well, and you are on a country lane now, and you have been going very slow. You know, you're not been causing a hazard on the road, but you've been going steady. So on this occasion, I'm going to let you continue. And I was like, whew, heart's pumping like this, you know. So I get in the truck. He unblocks the road because a few cars had backed up by this point. Off he pops. And I'm thinking, man, I am so pleased that he didn't realise that trailer had no brakes on it, because I hadn't finished it. Had no brakes. It was like 4.5 ton that I was towing behind me. No trailer brakes. It was, that's unfortunately the kind of stuff I used to do, and I got away with it. I was so happy. But you wouldn't get away with it nowadays. And he was a traffic cop, right? He wasn't a normal cop. He was a cop that knew his shit. But he let me off. Because to be fair, I'd done a few things to help him over the years as well. So I had a few points to cash in, I suppose you'd call it. Right, we are very close to finishing. We're doing actually real perfect timing. Got a few more comments. One more cigarette. I am cutting down. Oh, Grandad used to smoke, by the way, and he got to 102, so work that one out. Okay, so where do we get to? Done that one. Yes, thank you, Simon. Both times the copper must have just said, that's not worth that. Think of the paperwork. Trying to explain to your boss why you've nicked this lad with this 1,000-litre container on the back. I did have one on the back of my silver ute when I came back from the South Island of it, but it stood pretty high. It was on top of the cover for the rear tray, but it wasn't very heavy, but it was high. But again, the cost didn't bother me. It was well under the maximum height of a vehicle, and it was well under the weight. I wasn't overloaded. It just looked a bit precarious, but it was well strapped on. But yes, some of the stuff you see on those Facebook posts now that police put on is just like, really? Really? You're nicking him for that? That's just bad, I see a lot of the single car transporters, the pickup body, the cab body and a beaver tail back on it. Mathewson's in Thorntondale used to run one of those. Paul used to drive it. And it has like, a normal sized car on it, and they're nicking him for being overweight. I mean, surely when they build those vehicles, they build them to carry a car that weighs about 1.5 tons. Surely, they'll upgrade the springs, the suspension and stuff, and get it recerted, but clearly not. And they got pinged for it. It's really bad. I'm just pleased that I'm not towing stuff around the UK anymore, because I'll be getting pulled up all the time. Roger Heaps, Marmite's back. Have you ever done a Jimmy's mince and cheese? I've definitely had Jimmy's pies. I remember those quite a while ago. I'm not sure if I did a review on it, and if I did, it probably would have been a steak and cheese. So I'll have to check those out when I come down. I take it they're going to be down in the South Island, near Invercargill. Yeah. Remind me again, because brain's not as good as it used to be. Simon, hit the like crew. Thank you, Simon. Simon, the 1,000cc, an expanding type brake drum on the inside. There's too much stuff on the inside. I've only got the outside smooth surface to work with, and I can't damage it, and I can't affect the balance of it, and I can't crack it. So I'm going to try and get one, because I don't actually have one at the moment, and try and come up with a plan. But it's not going to be easy, I don't think, that one. But it's not a priority to me. What we've done so far now has covered the vast majority of the units, the vehicles that are here in New Zealand. The other ones are all just on the periphery, and it might not be commercially viable, and I have to consider this because there's an investment involved. It might not be viable to spend time on the 1,000cc one, because I know for a fact I'm not going to sell very many tools. So, Plus, to be fair, for the next few weeks, I've got my work cut out putting all these together. Oh, but incidentally, the final tool won't have any welding on it. This is only the prototype, so all this will just be a fold. So it'll look a bit tidier. And I'm going to have to try and get my lettering put round the rim of the tool rather than on the handle, because the handle's too small now. Okay, where do we get to? Jim Haynes. Is it starting to cool off there yet? It is. I'm actually slightly cold. There's a breeze across my back, so I'm feeling a bit cooler this morning. Less aircon. So yes, the weather is definitely turning. The Giants, cops in South Africa, will look the other way if you can give them lunch money. In other words, they want you to pay them off to look the other way, the other direction. So very sad how South Africa is going down. Oh, I think there's always going to be that sort of. I mean, the UK cops are pretty strict, right? And if you get caught offering the wrong guy what we call a bung, it can be taken very seriously. But some of the other countries, Eastern Europe, for example, some of the more rural countries, if you can say that, they tend to be a little bit more amenable to, there's €100, mate. Have a good night. See you around. But you've got to have the balls to do it, and you've got to sort of sense, is he that kind of cop? But each to their own, right? I mean, I don't endorse it, but if it's me that's about to get the ticket, then I'm sure some people in that situation would probably do the same thing as I would. But assuming I've got some money in my wallet, some cash, don't always have that. But I've never tried that in New Zealand. I've always managed to put on the proper English accent and apologize profusely, but not be too. You've got to be almost like submissive. Don't be threatening in any way. Always just listen to the cop, hear what he has to say, apologize, and sometimes you can just get a warning. And it's also down to route planning as well. Don't flaunt the law. If you need to do something dodgy, use a back road and do it at night. That always helps. Anyway, top tips, right? Common sense, really. Jim Haynes, for Giants, have you ever seen the Mike Woods Great Railway Journey of the World about the blue train from 1979? I haven't seen that. Simon, some of the car transporters only have a 1.5 litre engine. What the hell? That's ridiculous. The Giants, Jim was a very beautiful train. Now with the new government, everything is going downhill. So sad. Okay. Jim, the Giants. It's on YouTube and worth watching for history. That's a good idea. Roger, unfortunately, they only do mince and cheese, mutton, bacon and egg, no steak. Huh. Well, we'll have to do a mince one then. Well, mince and cheese, I think, will be the one for me. The Giants. Andy, cops will ask you for lunch money. You don't have to think who to offer it to. Well, okay, so it's pretty standardized across South Africa that if you give them a bit of a bung and they get a few dollars in the pocket or whatever it is, your monetary is over there, I don't know, then they'll just turn a blind eye. And that is pretty sad, to be fair. If it's across the board, just not good. Simon, the old saying is if it's not right, do it at night. Excellent, I remember that. Jim, that was the link to the video above. Okay, cool. The Giants, Jim Haynes, I will check it out and check out the video. Cool, good job. I like this collaboration stuff. It's all part of our little chat on a Sunday morning. So, plan of attack for the next 2 weeks. This next week, I'm just at home. Not so much in the workshop. I have got a little bit of workshop stuff to do for work, so I will be in the workshop. I've got a ute to empty that's piled high with stuff. We've got to take Marmite back to the vets. That's definitely going to happen. Just so she can get a check over and see how she's progressing, putting some weight on, and they can do some more bloods and see what improvements there are. Because, she may, on the face of it, have this sudden lease of life and recovery, but there may still be an underlying issue. We don't know. It'd be nice to know, to be honest. Next weekend, Ben's coming back down again. I don't really know what I'm going to be involved with. I think we're going to start to swap some bits across from the fun bus. In fact, isn't next weekend? No, next weekend isn't Easter. It's the weekend after. So the following week, on the Monday the 14th, I drive up to Auckland with the big trailer. And I have to pick up Larry the Carry, because Larry the Carry is stuck in Auckland, right? Got to bring him back. But I've also got to collect all the steel work for the side port from Morrinsville. So I'm going to have to unload Larry the Carry, get the roofing put on, which is about, I don't know, about 90 centimetres wide, just under a metre wide of the sheets, I think, from memory. And then I've got to strap that down, and then drive Larry the Carry back onto the trailer somehow, or get the lad with the fork hoist to put it on for me without damaging him onto the trailer and strap Larry the Carry down. It's going to be a bit of a precarious load, but it'll be well strapped down, officer. Don't you worry, and it'll be well underweight. Yes, most definitely. And then I've got to get home. So that will be, I come home on the Wednesday. I've got Thursday working from home to just try and get as much admin work tied off before Easter as I can. And then we've got the 4 days of Easter, and I'm hoping Ben's going to come down to help us. 4 days of Easter to do the roof. Now, that's more than enough time. All we have to do is put the tin on. So we should be able to knock it out in a couple of days without any problems at all. So we can get that done. And yes, it's going to help Ben with his patrol. So hopefully, it'll be advantageous to all of us. And then I can get on with maybe some videos, maybe on the Monday, get a couple of videos done, which would be nice. And then I'm working from home that week, so the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, working from home again, get all my admin sorted out. And then is that the week I leave for the South Island? I think it is, the following Monday. Pretty sure I leave for the South Island. Have a little look on my diary. Bear with me, people. I may have got it a little bit wrong. Bear with me, because it's always nice to know where I am in the world. So, we're there. So, working from home. That's Easter. Yes. Yeah, so I have a week after Easter working from home. Have the weekend. Ben might be here, but Ben might not be here. I don't know. And then on the Monday morning, I leave for about 3 and a bit weeks in the South Island. So, there'll be live streams every Sunday while I'm away. Definitely. So that'd be pretty cool. So will there be a live stream over Easter? There will be. Easter Sunday, we'll be having a live stream. Yes. And hopefully we've got the roof finished, or at least half finished, so I can show you. Okay, so there'll be an update on the side port roof, all going to plan on that Sunday. What else have we got? I saw this. Jim Haynes, how's the go-kart coming on? Ha. Go-kart's still sat on the bench. Not at the moment. The Giants is going to be a live stream on Easter weekend. There is, yes, on that Sunday. Connor Kay driving home from Auckland with the loaded trailer at night. Click the like, everybody. No, it'll be broad daylight when I'm towing that one. But it's fine. It's well within spec. But officers in the UK, none of the islets are load rated. So feel free to drive across to New Zealand and come and nick me if you want to. But it's not a requirement here. And actually there is documentation that goes with the trailer to say that each islet can cope with up to 500 kilograms of force. So maybe that's enough. But there's nothing stamped on each islet. Good enough for me. Okay, crew, thank you all very much for joining this live stream. It's been quite a moving experience for me. I did struggle to get through the whole Marmite thing, and my apologies for that. I'm only human. And I'll give you another update on Shop Dog in a couple of weeks. But until then, please stay safe and enjoy the videos on the channel, and obviously other channels on YouTube as well, because there's some really good videos out there. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Over and out.